Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of One Piece Madness. It has been a long break week for all of us, including you viewers. Apologies, life has just got in the way. Uh, it's been a busy month, but hopefully, we're back more consistent than ever. This is your host, Hussein, the One Piece Uncle, joined by our co host, Hatim, the One Piece Tata. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I forgot that last week we didn't record, and then there was the break week too. But hopefully we can get consistency back.
For sure. Yeah, man. The last few weeks, Oda has been just dropping true madness. And I know we missed last week and a bit of 1073. So, Hatim, what were your thoughts on those chapters? If you have anything to share
My
with
only
the
thing is
lovely
with the
viewers.
last two chapters, I'm a little disappointed because I feel like Oda's been going at such a fast pace, revealing bombshells almost every single chapter, and to kind of just slow down and have these two chapters. I mean, obviously, last chapter they had the whole Kuma and they had those Kuma bots, the pacifista showing up, and they showed us the whole army. So that was pretty big. But in terms of like overall the other story aspects that we were kind of building up for, like finding about Kuma's backstory and um, him scaling the red line, just a bunch of other stuff. Like we really didn't get that, so I'm kind of disappointed. I'm sure there's a reason, and I know Oda's style is kind of to like flesh out other parts of the story too, which is generally how One Piece has always been. It's just more so he was ramping up so much, and to kind of slow down for the last two chapters was kind of disappointing.
I don't think there's a break week next week, so hopefully we get a good cliffhanger before the next break week. I think tomorrow, I think this weekend will be the last week before break week. Uh, but I've seen across many reviewers, YouTube, One Piece content creators that this is Oda's style. It's a show and tell. So I feel like he's going to coincide the Kuma backstory with what he's actually going to do on the red line at the same time. Show his backstory and then tell what he's going to do at this moment. And I think because he's teasing it so much, there's going to be a lot more significance on what Kuma does on at Marijua and on the red line to the rest of the story. It might even be the beginning of the final war. Declaring war against the world government. If this is spun in some way by Big News Morgans, and that was a big thing in the last chapter as well. Big News Morgans doing this, all of this for entertainment. If he can spin this in a way that Luffy had orchestrated the whole Kuma attack as well with the revolutionaries, it might be a big. This is just what I'm thinking that if he's teasing it so much, there has to be something more with what he's doing on the red line and at Marijua. And another big thing from the last couple chapters is the fact that Vivi and Wapol are with Big News. And Big News is the epitome of America and American media. I just love it. He's embodying the culture of news is entertainment, and it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah, that's good. I like that because we got introduced to Big News Morgan before too, and we didn't really see much of how he really ties into the story. So seeing BB with him and even with Walpole too, it should be an interesting turn of events and what his true agenda is.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, those are the craziest parts of the last few chapters. Kuma's backstory
Yeah,
being teased.
unless Oda's trying to make Big News Morgan kind of like Joker and like an agent of chaos. Like he just wants to get his views out and make interesting stories, and he doesn't really care what happens in the world. Then that would be interesting too.
There was a video I was watching on the God Valley incident and if Rox is actually dead. And it's a whole theory video by Parvision, another YouTuber. He makes a lot of crazy content and theories out there. And one of his theories, based on the last chapter or the 1074, is that if Big News Morgans is truly embodying the fact that news is supposed to be for entertainment. And throughout the story, we've heard about Roxy Zebek being this character who's been erased, but not confirmed to be dead. Maybe Big News Morgan just spun up the story that Garp and Gold Roger had uh, is essentially killed Roxy Zebek, and now he's nowhere to be found. Where that's just what the news portrayed, and now we understand the psyche of Big News Morgans and the fact that if he's doing it just for entertainment, then we're not sure if Rox is actually dead, and if he is still out there in the world. So the reveal of his sorry, the reveal of his psychology can show us a lot about what the world believes in One Piece, and it allows us to theorize a lot more on what's fact and what's fiction based on official news reports.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, you would wonder if the world government would actually be able to stop Morgans and whatnot, or with certain things, but it doesn't seem like it because he kind of reveals a lot of information, like the Gear Fifth Luffy. He showed over to everyone, and the world government was, shocked. So it's kind of weird that the government can destroy islands and with Buster calls, but they can't catch one Birdman.
It might be in their best interest to not catch him because he has the monopoly and he has the distribution network, right, of distributing news, and he is one of those characters that's in the middle. Like he's taking the government side when he has to, and he's giving sensational news when he wants to, and the government does benefit from this if they have to spread some kind of news or a narrative. So I'm assuming it would be an expensive venture for the world government to establish their own news network. So they just let him have his fun. They let him do his thing, and then sometimes they're gonna get a bit of shit from him, but that's fine.
Yeah, but like, why not make him a Shichibukai then before they dismantle it? Like, he's that powerful. He has the news. We all know how powerful the news is.
But is he interested in fighting wars and stuff? I think he would decline.
Yeah, but he has a lot of he has a lot of power. But I'm interested to see that, and he does have the underworld ties too. So to see his
Yeah,
character actually flesh out will be interesting, and it'll be a good indicator of Oda's mindset and his own views on the news and media.
and I'm just interested to see how Vivi and Wapol were saved or ended up with Big News.
Yeah,
That was a crazy reveal.
yeah. That's why with 1075 and 1074, besides those small big reveals, like it's a little bit slower. But again, it is Oda's style, so and I'm sure there's a reason why he's wanting to slow it down a little bit.
Maybe, but the the topic of this episode is definitely for 1075, and we see the cover page is actually interesting. It's Vegapunk finally meeting the Gorosei. And do you have any thoughts on this? Like he looks a bit younger than he was when we saw him at Ohara, so I think this might be just the beginning of their relationship right before Ohara. Like, what do you think?
So just my beginning thoughts, but just thinking about it, I'm wondering what reason did he go to the Five Elders? Like, did they call him? Did he choose to go there? Was he trying to sell something? Um, what's that relationship? How's that relationship going? Like, what was his mindset when going to the Five Elders? My other thing is the cover story going to be a lot of the backstory for Vegapunk, or are we going to get actually the flashbacks? If we are going to get the flashbacks, then is Oda just trying to hint at our skepticism as to how good, how much of a good guy Vegapunk is or not through the um, cover pages? Then I guess we'll find out.
I don't think he went to the world government. I think the world government approached him.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
very much possible that they did approach him. Yeah, but he says he gets an audience with the five elders, so it's possible he requested it to see them too.
I think they approached him because he was doing so well with Mads, and he won that Ibel prize. So I think he must have been up there. And we know Vegapunk just wants funding, and he just wants to create for the sake of creating. So he definitely took that opportunity gladly, and he went there. And I think just like how we saw the pudding cover story evolving into the chapter, like mixing into the chapter itself when Blackbeard is fighting Law, and we find out that she was in the uh, Blackbeard's ship essentially. I think this might be one of those cover stories which blends into the chapter if Vegapunk has a special relationship with Saturn, and if they were to meet again in the few next coming up chapters, it might be an interesting development in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is I'm wondering if Vegapunk seems like a good guy so far, but and I've probably touched on this before too. I'm sure others have as well. But is Oda trying to show Vegapunk as a scientific force of nature versus an actually a guy who's kind of running by his moral compass and saying, "Okay, I'm going to do the right thing." He kind of just creates as he wants to. Like it's a desire
Yeah,
of his, like to just create, just like to constantly create. So it doesn't really matter is it beneficial to anyone or not. It's just create. I mean, he does seem like he wants to. To his credit, he has said that he wants to um, create that dream of having unlimited energy. He said so. He does have that too, but at a younger age, which he's at with the Gorosei, is he really trying to create for that dream, or is he just creating because he likes creating new stuff that are cool and useful?
it's definitely a two-way street in the sense that he's using the government and the government's using him. He's
Yeah,
using the government fundings to create his own side projects, but majority of the funding will go into whatever they want. Seraphim, Kuma, um, Sea Prism Stone technology. It's going to be whatever the government wants, but anything he has left over, he's going to make crazy inventions like that food uh, vending machine and the internet, basically.
yeah. You wonder if Oda's trying to give like kind of a not a foreshadowing, but like kind of like a homage to our real life where scientific creation and scientific studies are all backed by government and private investors who have their own agenda and they're kind of trying to get these studies out or they're trying to get these inventions out for their own agenda versus actual like well not always but like in many cases and a lot of the cases it's like for their own viewpoint, getting their own viewpoints out in the world as opposed to objective analysis or just trying to make something for the betterment of the world. It's more so like, we like for example, and we talked about the nutrition one, like people will do studies to show that, oh yeah, fat is bad for you or sugar is bad for you. With sugar, I mean, generally it's consensus it is, but my point is like fat or carbohydrates or certain foods are bad for you or certain doing certain activities are better for you because it can help promote. Here's a good example, like 10,000 steps. A lot of people believe you need 10,000 steps, but that was actually a marketing campaign by a trainer who was trying to get people to use his pedometers more. So by that logic, but that was him using, he kind of was using facts and everything just to promote his own thing. He's not a scientist, but like many organizations do that, have their own scientists do research to push their own goals. So you wonder if Vegamonk's pretty much in the same situation. He might have good intentions, but the government has his own goals, and he's forced to work because of the money.
That's a fair point, man. The steps argument is interesting. We should get on that in another video uh, because it's something I did not know about that. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, we can do a video on that. I mean, not solely on that because it's kind of pretty concrete, but we can get to that scientific topic for another day.
For sure. Um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where the cover stories go, man. Like, it started off as Germa's cold-blooded voyage journey, but it's becoming Vegapunk's backstory, or the backstory from Mads. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just going to be interesting to see where it goes. This chapter is pretty short, actually. There's not much. It was much shorter than I expected it to be, and it's just a bunch of straw hats looking for Stella body. Um, what I found interesting is that Nami actually left jewels and treasure behind. I wonder why, and if this is something intentional from Oda to bring us back to Egghead as an excuse while they're escaping, or some plot thread that he's trying to leave behind. I'm not sure, but this is uncharacteristic of her to leave something, especially treasure, behind. Wait, what do you think? Or am I thinking about it too
Yeah.
much?
Yeah, I mean, I really wasn't thinking about it too much while reading, but it is a good point. But I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a character shift in Nami, but like we've seen Nami care about um treasure throughout the whole entire story. But even sometimes in my perspective, it seems like she's been less more of that cat burglar Nami in the recent like 200 300 chapters, as opposed to like how she was in the first pre-time skip.
That's fair. But she always goes for the bag, bro. Can't deny that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, in one sense, it's a character analysis of Nami. Really, like before when she was with Arlong's pirates, like she kind of needed to get the money because that's what they required her to do. So it seems, and kind of grew up in that situation. So she kind of like, oh yeah, I need money. I need money. She doesn't really need that anymore. So like that mindset, eventually, you would think that would kind of wear off. Like her enamorment would, I don't know, enamorment is a word, but the way she's enamored with money in the pre-time skip seemed like it was more, and I thought this from the beginning to some extent it's because of how Arlong was, her situation with Arlong, because that's, he just wanted her to get the treasure, so she kind of had her mindset that, oh, always getting treasure.
She was 8 when she joined Arlong, right? So
Yeah,
um, she pretty much grew up with that mindset. So I think 8 is an impressionable enough age. But even before she joined Arlong, she always saw Bellemere as being poor and struggling to have enough money to cook dinner, so then Bellemere would say that she's dieting just so that the kids could eat. And I think Nami saw through that. Uh, that's why I think she's just grown up until she was 16 with the whole belief that she needs money and she has to do anything to
yeah.
get it. She used to rob from the library as well, so she was a thief from the get.
Yeah, like I mean, people have that mindset in real life too. Like a lot of times, it gets hard. One example is like even with people who get the lottery, they tend to commit. There's a high rate of suicide because once you going from nothing and then you suddenly have a lot, you're not used to it. So a lot of people, even if they start making more money, they're not used to that mindset that, okay, I actually have more money than I had before. You're used to your old mindset for that so many years of time that you're spending. So it could be the case with Nami. Maybe Oda's trying to show it, or maybe it's for whatever reason. Yeah, you're right. It could be a plot thread for her to come back,
Yeah.
or
Another
that
interesting.
or that Vegapunk can just make it for them. Like he can make diamonds for them whenever, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a shout out to the real world as well. Like people are creating fake diamonds nowadays. So 1 second. Yeah, he's creating. People are. It's possible to manufacture diamonds now in labs. So it's just another shout out to the real world tech and what we have going on right now. Um, wonder why they're making diamonds though. And this is something I just thought
Yeah,
about. Like, if Vegapunk is always looking for funding, he now knows how to create diamonds. So he could have sold those for money to get more funding.
yeah. That's another question too. Like, how recently did he create this? And if he really wanted, if he needed the funding, he could have just. It was the diamonds a recent creation? Like, that's something to think about as well.
Yeah. Um, another interesting interaction we saw was Chopper seeing the manufactured organs and Robin being Robin, assuming that was just Vegapunk chopped up. He's dead. Her dark sense of humor. That was it was nice to see again after a long time. But yeah, Chopper seeing the manufactured organs and getting surprised as a doctor. I wish we got more because the chapter was so short. I wish we got more interaction with him and the organ and seeing his thought process on like different possibilities with this. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't think it, but if you go back, I think I saw someone on YouTube covering this. Like, if this tech was there available for Luffy back in Marineford, he could have saved Ace basically by replacing the organ that Akainu burned through, whichever organ that was. There's a lot of implications on who you could save now with this kind of technology, and if it is if it is readily available to Luffy and everyone.
Yeah, I mean, even with the thing, I'm thinking, what is Oda's perspective on these synthetic organs made, or biosynthetic organs, whatever bioorganic organs made in labs? Like, how does he feel about it? Because Chopper's trying to be a doctor, and does he find being being Chopper being able to create this or use this, is that part of being a good doctor? And will he have to learn from Vegapunk how to make this, or does he find it necessary for Chopper to be knowledgeable in this area?
I don't know, man. Chopper
Yeah,
has a
we'll have
lot.
to see. It's really on Oda's perspective, you know. Like, is you are you looking to say that what's his point in having the organs? Because he doesn't really always leave too many loose end things, and you would wonder if Chopper can use this or learn something from Vegapunk. The other thing is about funding too. We know organs sell well in real life too, so you would wonder when did he make this technology, because he can get a lot of funding from just selling these lab grown organs.
It would, bro, Vegapunk could be like a big pharma in the One Piece world if he wanted to. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Issues with connectivity. I hope it doesn't lag out again. This is our third time trying. Um, but yeah, final thoughts on the chapter. Who do you think the traitor is, Hatem?
Honestly, some people have been speculating. So I watched Joy Boy's video yesterday, and he was mentioning about how maybe it's Vegapunk who's the traitor, and he's just like, "Do I believe this? Honestly, no, but I think it's a possibility." I just find it weird, like the Seraphim acting on their own. What if there's like no traitor, and they're basically just acting on their own? Like they're not actually um, Vegapunk, or obviously none of the other Marines can actually give them orders if Vegapunk's around. So maybe they're like acting on their own, and they're just going by the instincts that have been they've been constantly commanded to do. Kind of like an environment, like the environment's affecting them, right? Like the Marines were constantly telling them, okay, defeat pirates, attack pirates, whatever. And so maybe their mindset's like, okay, we just gotta attack these people.
Maybe. Um, I was watching Tekking, and he he talked about this kind of um, story writing that some manga mangaka or other fiction, what they do is they introduce a set of characters, a fixed number of characters, let's say six. Like in this case, it's six Vegapunks, and then later in the story they reveal that there was another one, a seventh one that was hidden from the viewers, but it was going to be revealed at a later time. So maybe he's speculating that maybe don't rely on the six Vegapunks as a final number of how many Vegapunks there are. Maybe there's a seventh one, the evil one, the truly evil one. Lilith is evil. She is classified as the evil Vegapunk, but maybe there's a prototype one satellite that he made that was defected. So then he stored it away somewhere in the basement somewhere, and then when Caribou got freed from the Straw Hat ship, he was looking around Egghead. He went to the basement. He accidentally set him free, and now maybe there's another Vegapunk who has a command chip for the Seraphim, who has now commanded to attack all of the Vegapunks.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is like with Tekken's analysis on that is that there's six Vegapunks already, but there's technically still the real actual seven. So I don't know if there would be technically an eighth Vegapunk,
Yeah,
but
it,
um,
it would be 8. Like I'm talking about just the satellites.
yeah, just the satellites. I mean, the caribou thing is an interesting point. Like Joe was mentioning that obviously you kind of forget the caribou's actually around. I don't know. It's really hard to say what's going on. It's really weird, and it's just a random occurrence. You would like many like you mentioned, like we thought that this fight would happen more towards when the what's his name Saturn comes to saying Jay Garcia actually comes, and we thought that this fight would happen, but it's happening sooner, I guess. So
In the last couple of chapters, people are speculating that the traitor was Shaka, but looking at this chapter, it might not be. Maybe he's still putting up a front. We don't know. But if it really was him, then Kuma would not be still attacking, even though Shaka had given the orders. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting reveal. It's like a murder mystery type thing, and it's really exciting to see who it might be. Even though it's like it's probably going to be a short arc. Very interesting to maybe speculate and theorize all this. But yeah, do you have any other thoughts on this chapter, Hatem, before we close off?
I would like actually if the Seraphim are actually acting on their own will, because they're still, even though that they're like they're bioorganic, but they still have kind of they're still living creatures too. So it'd be very interesting is like they just don't like the Straw Hats or something, or they develop, or they just don't like Lucci and them, and they're like, yeah, we'll just beat you because we don't like you, like for whatever reason, or they just don't like pirates. So it could be it could be a possibility too that exists in their head or has been embedded into their mindset too to not like pirates.
Maybe, maybe. But yeah, I think that's it for this chapter. Um, hope you guys liked what we had to say. And apologies for the connection issues. Hopefully, we don't look so bad in the post edit. Uh, we're gonna keep trying to see if we can improve the quality over the next few episodes. Hopefully, we find something. If you have any suggestions for recording softwares or websites, please let us know. It would be greatly appreciated. But thank you for sticking out so far. Um, yeah, like, subscribe, and peace.